Now, we know in the past that Hollywood took payoffs from the tobacco industry to put smoking in the movies. Everybody denied it in the past, and we know now from the secret tobacco documents that are available that everybody was lying about it.
Big Tobacco supplied free cigarettes to Hollywood celebrities to encourage publicity and brand loyalty on screen. The tobacco industry paid cash to place their brands in specific movies without the audience ever knowing. Brown & Williamson offered Sylvester Stallone $500,000 to place its brand in 5 films. This is the biggest known deal. Philip Morris paid the producers of Superman 2 $43,000 to include Marlboro in the movie.
And despite the tobacco industry's 1989 voluntary ban on paid product placements in movies and the 1998 Master Tobacco Settlement Agreement that bars marketing tobacco to youth, smoking in Hollywood has actually increased.
There's very good scientific evidence that smoking on screen increases the likelihood kids will smoke. The kids who get the most exposure to smoking in the movies are more than 3 times as likely to start smoking as kids who get relatively little exposure. What we found was astonishing. Over that 5-year period, American films delivered 32.6 billion tobacco impressions. So the 4 recommendations that we are making are, first of all, that any film that has smoking in it should receive an R rating. If Hollywood wants to have smoking in movies, they would still be able to do that under our proposal. It would just get an R rating.
An R rating would cut the amount of smoking in movies kids see by about 60%.
Second recommendation is that there should be a stiff anti-smoking ad in the trailers preceding any film which has smoking in it, regardless of rating, and that should also be on the video cassettes and the DVDs. But there should be no brand identification. The brand identification is particularly powerful for kids. Most of the brand identification is Marlboro's, the leading children's cigarette. There's no need for it. And in fact, Philip Morris, under the Master Settlement Agreement with the Attorney Generals, is supposed to keep that from happening. And finally, there should be a certification at the end of each film by the producers that no one connected with making the film received anything from anybody in order to get smoking in the movies. I think these actions, if implemented, would rapidly reduce the amount of smoking in the movies and, more important, rapidly reduce the influence of movies in promoting tobacco worldwide.
40 years after the U.S. Surgeon General first concluded that smoking causes lung cancer, Hollywood still promotes smoking on the big screen.
We started this campaign, and we had 2 things. We were running full-page ads in the trade press, Variety, and occasionally the New York Times. And we had a website, the Smoke Free Movies website. I get a call from somebody saying, "Hi, I'm from New York. I'm with Reality Check. We're a bunch of activist students. And would you mind if we got involved in the Smoke Free Movies campaign?" And it was like, well, okay, whatever. The basic idea of this campaign was to create a lot of chaos. And it seemed like you would be good at that. And, what happened in that first year? Well, your predecessors wrote 306,000 letters to Hollywood. You know, this was truly amazing. Then, who did you write? You wrote the Motion Picture Association, the Directors Guild, Julia Roberts and Brad Pitt, and a few other people. And my first direct interaction with Reality Check was at the Fame and Shame Awards that spring in Albany. And it was like the most amazing event that I ever attended. And I'm going around to all these kids. At that point, they'd only written 200,000 letters. And I'm going around to everybody saying, like, what did they say? What did they say? What did they say? And it's like, nothing, nothing, nothing. They ignored us. Nothing, 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 nothing. And then finally, one person said, Julia Roberts sent our envelope back threatening to sue us. How many of you have heard this story? Okay, it's a great story. And I just said, I just could not believe this. I was totally appalled. Because my view of this thing is Julia Roberts and Brad Pitt and all these other people have a right to ignore you and to not agree with you because it's a free country, theoretically. But they at least owe you respect. You know, they need to treat you seriously because they're millionaires because of you guys. You know, they owe it to you to at least be polite. And so I just said, I need that envelope. I'm going to turn that envelope into an ad. So this is the ad that we ran, and initially in Variety, 202,000 letters have gone to Congress and staff. And it says, Julia doesn't see any of these, so stop it. Do not send any more letters. This is harassment. We will take legal action against all of you. And you know, we ran it. And then the health department called up and said, would you mind if we put this in the New York Times? And it's like, would I mind? Well, one other thing about the ad, about the envelope. The envelope not only was a very important message, but it really represented a turning point in the whole idea of this campaign. Because up until then, the primary focus of the effort had been on the people who made movies, trying to appeal to their conscience, trying to appeal to their better judgment. And, you know, if Julia Roberts treated the reality check kids that shabby, we're going to go to the grown-ups. And we shifted the whole focus of the campaign onto the studios and the companies like Time Warner, Disney, Viacom that own the studios, and figured we're going to deal with the grown-ups.
In 2002, Reality Check launched Tobacco in Hollywood, headed toward a breakup. During this project, members wrote and emailed members of the Motion Picture Association of America and the Directors Guild. They also sent hundreds of thousands of letters to Hollywood celebrities such as Julia Roberts and Brad Pitt.
Because of the leadership the kids have shown in Reality Check, we now have youth groups all over the country working on this issue and all over the world. We have 27 state attorney generals who've gotten involved.
In the summer of 2003, 27 state attorney generals contacted Jack Valenti, the president of the Motion Picture Association of America, concerned with the link between smoking in the movies and teens initiating real-life smoking. And Reality Check remained committed to the issue, rolling out its second-year initiative, Hollywood and Tobacco, Reality Check Strikes Again. The new initiative launched December 3rd, 2003, with youth from all 62 counties across New York State participating.
The Reality Check movement strives to inform, motivate, and empower youth to stand up to the tobacco conglomerates with a clear message. We will not be lost. Having learned many lessons from Phase 1, Reality Check is ready to mobilize our communities and build alliances not only here in New York, but across our country and around the world.
Reality Check Strikes Again was a multi-pronged campaign. Flyers, posters, sandwich boards, and tabletop tents were all used to spread the word. Print, radio, and television commercials were also launched as well. Issues of the Reality Check Tape Talk magazine were distributed to local businesses to keep educating the community about statewide Reality Check activities. Youth came together and viewed teen-oriented films to call attention to instances of tobacco use. And the mass letter writing didn't stop either, to celebrities and the CEOs of the media conglomerates. Reviews of movies and their tobacco content were written to local and school newspapers, as were letters to the editors and warning ads. Reality Check members also stickered movie ads in magazines and newspapers with warnings about tobacco use. The youth also enlisted community organizations to join in the effort. Elected officials, attorney generals, and parental organizations were all contacted. Youth took the fight to other states, and the work Reality Check was doing was no longer contained to just the United States. The organization teamed up with partners all over the world to address the problem globally.
The tobacco companies have always viewed promotion of smoking in films and also in theaters as a crucial element of opening up new markets around the world.
Reality Check became involved in Africa when British American Tobacco and Warner Brothers teamed up to promote movies and tobacco in Nigeria.
One of our colleagues in Nigeria contacted us about a year ago and told us that British American Tobacco was doing this huge promotional campaign for its Rothman cigarette brand. This promotional campaign involved these portable domes that they would carry around where they would screen Hollywood movies. You came to the door of the events, they would hand you a free cigarette and ask you to light up.
Warner Brothers was rather embarrassed about this, that they had actually received money through their South African distributor from British American Tobacco to license these films for showings in Nigeria. We had reality check groups across the state send some faxes to the CEO of Time Warner.
Warner Brothers and British American Tobacco, you get out of Nigeria with your cigarettes because they don't want them and we don't want America portrayed that way.
So they said, please, if you'll call off your campaign, we will agree to your demands.
A group of reality check coordinators and youth were able to attend the World Conference on Tobacco or Health in Helsinki, Finland, to attend a global youth training. While there, we met with young people from all over the world and decided to start an international day of action around smoking in the movies. Over the next year and a half, we conducted informal youth surveys on the global impact of Hollywood movies on youth. We released the survey results and an interview video for our first International Day of Action, which took place in 2005.
My favorite Hollywood movie is The Beach from by Leonardo DiCaprio.
Titanic. Last Samurai. Yeah, The Matrix. I like The Matrix.
Saving Private Ryan.
Can you tell me your favorite Hollywood actor and actresses?
I think it's Eddie Murphy because he is just so funny. Oh my gosh.
Nicole Kidman.
Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Jennifer Lopez. Will Smith.
Tom Hanks.
I kind of like Johnny Depp.
Halle Berry.
I think Halle Berry.
Tom Cruise.
Al Pacino. Leonardo DiCaprio.
Colin Farrell.
Jim Carrey's funny. He's
should
so
have went in
funny.
there.
He gives me pure jokes. Oh my gosh.
Ben Affleck.
Most of information about the States. Where do you get them from?
I get it from the movies, pure. I get it from the movies.
Do you think what you see in the movie is a true representation of what the United States is all about?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, people like all the gangsters dressed like with all their fat chains and all that. That's what America is. Like, like
And the
football
violence.
jerseys,
I think
like
it's good
jerseys
as well.
and stuff.
I think it's good because you get the general idea that America is like the hottest place to go.
I think that people need to understand more about America.
When you watch a Hollywood movie, have you seen any smoking scene?
Yeah, in every movie.
Almost every movie. There's either one dude or somebody else in every scene of a film smoking.
I've seen Halle Berry smoke about twice.
All the time.
Every film has someone smoking it.
Yeah, a lot. When people see in a movie, they take it to heart. People have to buy a cigarette. People have to smoke. Or this is what so and so did in a movie. Yeah, I want to be like him. So boy, I have to buy 2 packets of cigarette a day so I can smoke in front of my teacher. We look up to America. Yeah.
People think it's cool to smoke, but yeah, from the movies.
If you think it carefully, it influence people to smoke. Like, many people think it's normal to smoking.
I don't really like it because it encourages people to smoke more.
It's inappropriate because like lots of the audience might be like the ages vary, so then kids might see that and take it as a bad influence.
I agree.
But with other people who think it's like, my favourite actress is doing it, therefore I need to do it, they can get easily influenced. Get me? Children follow things, yeah? They follow fashion, everyone follows fashion. And therefore, if it's on a TV and someone else is doing it, you feel tempted to do it as well because they're doing it, so you want to do it.
If you see your actors doing it, then you can think, oh my gosh, they're doing it. Yeah.
J'ai entendu plein de mômes dire, des petites gamines de 13 ans, acheter des clubs, c'est les mêmes que ci, c'est les mêmes que ça. C'est vrai en plus, ça s'entend vraiment.
Ah oui?
Les gens, il y a des gamines qui achètent vraiment des clubs juste pour leur star préférée ou pour parce que tel machin, tel ci, tel ça.
ก็อยากจะสื่อถึงตัวผู้ผลิตหนังนะครับว่าคุณเองก็เป็นคนหนึ่งที่มีแบบความรู้มีความสามารถหลายคนก็เคยได้รับรางวัลในฐานะผู้กำกับยอดเยี่ยมมาแล้วครับผมก็คือในส่วนนี้ในการที่คุณยอมให้บริษัทบุหรี่เข้ามามีอิทธิพลในการเอาเงินมาบังคับให้คุณสร้างหนังโดยมีฉากบุหรี่เข้ามาในเรื่องคุณกลายเป็นคนไปโฆษณาให้เขาทางอ้อมคุณโง่มากเลยที่ไปทำอย่างนั้นนะครับ มันเหมือนคุณถูกหลอกใช้ครับทั้งที่คุณเองก็มีความคิดไม่ได้ด้อยกว่าคนอื่นเลย
Many of our kids are getting into smoking because they see their actors and actresses smoking, and we don't know anything about America or anything about what your culture and what you do, except what you see, and give us a better image, give us a better message than smoking.
J'aimerais que Hollywood fasse du cinéma comme un 7e art et pas comme un spot publicitaire dans le métro.
On February 22, 2005, partners around the world called on Hollywood to adopt the principles of smoke-free movie. Smoke-free movie actions took place in more than 13 countries and a number of U.S. states. Here are a few photos from some of the press conferences that took place in places like Malaysia, Nigeria, Washington, D.C., Los Angeles, and New York. The next year, for the International Day of Action, we had a theme of how do parents around the world grade Hollywood on smoking. And we gave Hollywood an F for their lack of effort in getting smoking out of kid-rated movies. We also held a global march in D.C. in 2006 in conjunction with the World Conference on Tobacco or Health, which was held that year in Washington. In 2007, we wanted to focus on Hollywood and their exporting of toxic movies to the rest of the world. We also came up with some clever ads to talk about what these movies have in common. And we continued with the toxic movie theme and held events all over the country and in various parts of the world. In Washington, D.C. specifically, we were able to deliver a Golden Coffin Award to the MPAA headquarters. In 2008, New York State's Commissioner of Health urged the public to write to the 6 largest U.S. media companies, urging them to adopt the Smoke-Free Movies 4 policy solutions. We truly had an international flavor, and now we had the International Week of Action. And DMIST, which is a group in Liverpool, England, which was actually formed with the help of some reality check coordinators in youth from New York City on the Smoke-Free Movies campaign. They decided to hold a European conference on smoke-free movies. Some of us were able to attend and take part in this, and the World Health Organization was invited, as well as members of the European Union, some of the decision makers, and Stan Glantz was able to address this group, and we were able to present the case for smoke-free movies. After that meeting, the World Health Organization published this brief action guide in 2009 where they endorsed the smoke-free movies initiatives and talked about how to translate the evidence for smoke-free movies into action. International Week of Action events continued to be held annually. In 2015, we partnered with the Ontario Coalition for Smoke-Free Movies to launch the Rate Smoking R selfie campaign. We also held an event in Buffalo, an international event in Buffalo, where the Ontario Coalition came to Niagara Falls, and we were able to do some joint activities together. In 2016, we moved the event across the border to Toronto, and again did another event on the streets of Toronto, calling attention to the issue of smoke-free movies.
Members of Reality Check deserve a great deal of the credit for drawing attention to the serious problem of smoking in movies.
The kids of Reality Check have brought an energy and an authenticity and a power to the whole tobacco control movement, and particularly the issue to get smoking out of movies. I think working with Reality Check has been one of the most inspirational and important things I've done in the tobacco control movement in the last few years. When the history of the issue of smoking in the movies was written, the engagement of Reality Check and the activities of the kids in Reality Check and the leadership that they've shown will be viewed as the turning point on this issue.
This isn't the end, this is really just the beginning. We got a lot of work to do.